I want to do a historical analysis on Waco. So let's compare Waco to in the Florida shooting too. Let's just compare all of these, put them side by side. Let's look at the body counts, okay? The reason why I wanted to do the historical analysis, because the FBI report had said that they were the never before have so many heavily armed and totally committed individuals barricaded themselves in a fortified compound. There's nothing fortified about that building. It was thin. The walls were very thin, in a direct challenge to lawful federal warrants. Well, that actually straight off makes me think of 1774. The British wanted to take a bunch of land of the Massachusetts farmers, and 3 of them were going out into the middle of nowhere. And so what the farmers do, they all gathered together, hundreds of them with guns, and said, "No, not today." And then they sent the 3 British agents out running. They had warrants, right? They wrote down, what's a warrant? Some judge in some office wrote down on a piece of paper, well, it's a legal warrant. Okay? Even legal warrant, you could have unlawful warrants too. That's totally possible. So, Stephen E. Higgins is the one who's responsible for the ATF, lead up. You don't know Stephen E. Higgins. There's a reason for that. You don't know Stephen E. Higgins because the media and the propaganda machine never told you about him. You also don't know anything about Mitch Decker, and probably even less so about Gary Nesner. Gary Nesner played a big role, so did Mitch Decker in the Waco series. But the Stephen E. Higgins, he was the one that, the ATF, the initial fuck up. The ATF fucked this thing up so fucking bad it's not even funny. So let's see, is that true? Never before, so many heavily armed. So let's compare and contrast. Bill Hicks, real quick, found out it was bullshit too. He was in Waco. He videotaped it, and he said a couple jokes. Tim McVeigh was there too. And Tim McVeigh would eventually retaliate, and since the government's going to kill a bunch of innocent people, then Tim McVeigh's going to kill a bunch of innocent people too 1 year later. One quick question. If we were to raise the gun age to 21, so nobody, you got all these stores that are saying, we're not going to sell guns unless you're 21 years of age. So you can fight and die in America, but you're not allowed to buy a gun? I mean, if you could join the military, what are they going to put in your hands? They're going to put in AK, assault rifles, they're going to put tanks, they're going to put in nuclear weapons, right? The Air Force, they're going to put all the weapons in your hands possibly. So you just can't purchase them. You can own them and have them in your hands. You just can't buy them at Dick's or Walmart no more. You have to sign up for the military if you want to go shoot a bunch of people. And apparently that's totally fine. I mean, the liberals don't even seem like they're against the war anymore. So that I feel like if we're going to raise the age from 18 to 21 years of age, then if you're you shouldn't be allowed to serve in the military till you're 21 too, which would be a good thing. Why are you sitting there exploiting all of our 18-year-olds, our young people, to be cannon fodder? So both Tim McVeigh and Jeffrey Dahmer were both educated by the U.S. Army, both of them. And Jeffrey Dahmer was raping soldiers, and then the soldiers went up and said, hey, Commander, I got raped by Jeffrey Dahmer. And then they said, shut up, you're a man. You don't get raped. Fuck you and fuck your life. You're just cannon fodder. You're just damn fucking cannon fodder. Get out there and get your head blown off. Jesus Christ, we don't give a shit if you got raped. How did you let him rape you? You're a man, right? I guess some men are stronger than other men. Yeah, I guess they could. But we're a rapist society, so fuck you, right? So they allowed the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world to go on, and he raped several soldiers. So I think that's, anyways, right? Save the women and children, but the men, to hell with the men. Fucking rape them, kill, who gives a shit? They're expendable. The Boston Massacre. Let's start out with that. One of the reasons for the American Revolution was because the Boston Massacre. John Adams would actually defend the British soldiers successfully. But in the Boston Massacre, Crispus Attucks, one of the first deaths to the American Revolution, he died, and so did 2 others in the initial volley, and then 2 would die later of their wounds. So in total, 5 people had died at the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre. So it's like the least massacre of all massacres. This is a massacre that eventually would start, we would topple Great Britain for this massacre, for killing 5 people. For killing 5. If you compare it to the massacres we're seeing massacres way beyond the Boston Massacre. It was 17 in Florida. The Virginia Tech shooting was 33 were killed. Orlando shooting, 50 people were killed. In Las Vegas, 59 people were killed. All those shootings were worse than the Florida shooting. The Florida shooting was worse than the Boston Massacre. So, in terms of the Boston Massacre, all these should have started the American Revolution. 3,600 Americans died, In the first week of February, over 4,000 Americans died the third week of January. So we've seen over 20, nearly 30,000 Americans die of the common flu, common pneumonia. We don't have paid sick leave. We don't have universal health care. Do you see the Rachel Maddow, the middle class, clamoring and fighting? We need to stop poverty. We need to stop homelessness. We don't have universal health. Even the goddamn Nazis had universal health care, but not in the United States of America. No, no, no. Romania, Belarus, China, Russia, Mexico, Canada, Cuba. Germany had universal health care since 1883 for 150 years. And then, you know how the other countries, you had Belgium, Netherlands, and France, they took the Nazi system when the Nazis occupied them. Is that what it's going to take for the United States, for there to be a Nazi occupation? Then maybe we'll start to give a shit about universal health care, because once the Nazis left, then Belgium, Netherlands, and France kept their health care system. So 3,600 Americans, that's way worse than all these shootings. 3,600 Americans died the first week of February. Right now we're watching a genocide. We're American Empire, but we're watching this genocide because we don't give a shit about other people. We don't care. This is a psycho nation. The 6,700 Rohingya Muslims have been genocided so far. We're an empire, but are we going to go save them? Are we going to go save the Rohingya Muslims, or is that... They're Muslims, right? So we're going to be, that's our Jew. The Muslims are our Jew. We're going to go ahead and ostracize all the religious, you got freedom of religion unless you're Islamic. Yeah, okay. So 6,700 Rohingya Muslims have already been killed. 6,700 is worse than 17. 3,600 Americans dying in the first week of February is more than 17 dying. Yet these are not, these are not priorities for the Rachel Maddows of the world. We also have 500,000 homeless in our country. We don't give a shit about our homeless. People say, oh, they choose to be homeless. No, they don't. No, they don't. You're telling me they had a choice between a house where it was warm and nice and comfortable, and, they would be taught with, treated with love and respect. They wouldn't be manipulated and controlled. You're a human. You are deserving of a bed, food, water, clothing. You're allowed to live life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in this country, right? You're telling me they had the choice between a nice, warm, comfortable house and sleeping in a ditch and freezing to death in Cincinnati on a park bench on Christmas Day in 2017, and they chose to freeze to death on a park bench in Cincinnati on Christmas Day? That was their choice, right? Yeah, no, that's what assholes who don't give a shit about others would say. Oh, they choose to be homeless. We don't give a fuck. And we don't give a fuck about the poor. We don't give a fuck about the homeless. We don't care about the health of the American people because we don't believe in life. We're anti-life. We got $700 billion for war, death, destruction. It would take $5 billion to actually take care of the homeless. One-time payment of $5 billion. But we don't care. We don't care. We want to murder and bomb and expand our empire, and that's all that matters, and we're expanding our empire, and we're not even giving a shit about the genocide. So the bad people, I guess we're best friends with Myanmar, right? They're genociding people, so are we going to be on the side of the oppressed or the oppressors? So, January 2014, you had 143 people that were killed in Afghanistan, including Americans. In one day, there was 40 that had died at the January 21st, 2018, the luxurious Kabul Intercontinental Hotel shooting terrorized Kabul for more than a day. So you had all these gunners that was going around shooting people. 40 people were killed, and the Taliban killed more than 40 people at the popular luxury hotel, the Kabul Intercontinental Hotel, including a non-specific number of Americans. So 40 people died, including Americans in Kabul. 40 people is greater than 17. Another incident, and these are just big mass shooting one-day incidents. There's always, one or two people dying every day. The Kabul ambulance suicide bomb attack on January 27th, 2018. The Taliban, who control 70% of Afghanistan, they claimed to pull off this massive suicide ambulance bomb attack. Somebody's driving the ambulance, and they went through the checkpoints and then blew up and killed 103 people. 103 people is more than 17. Now, Al-Qaeda also took the credit for this. The CIA created Al-Qaeda, and it just won't die. So the Al-Qaeda is like Frankenstein's monster, but it's the CIA's monster. 103 people is more than 17. Do we hear any of the Rachel Maddows of the world saying we need to get out of Afghanistan? We need to stop war, or war is going to end all of us? I mean, my God, we got nuclear weapons. We have the ability to wipe out all of humanity. And yet we just keep pushing and using our military. We're draining our budget. China and Germany is kicking our ass when it comes to economics. They believe in socialism and they believe in capitalism. We believe in neither. We believe in fascism, militarism, empire, death, destruction. Health is life, and we don't even have universal health care for everybody. Where the hell is Rachel Maddow on that? When it comes to the Palestinians, we killed 508 Palestinians in 2014, or excuse us, we let our pit bull, Israel, kill 508. We protected them while they did it. Hundreds of babies were killed in 2009 too. That's just the babies. There's thousands of adults that were killed too. You care about children? No, you don't, America. You watched 508 kids get shot and killed in 2014 under Obama. That's the Democrats. Yeah, Democrats really give a shit about life, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm so sure. 7 million people currently, right now, are on the brink of starvation in Yemen. Why? Same shit about Israel. The axis of evil in the Middle East is the United States government, it is Saudi Arabia, and it is Israel. Cindy Sheehan is absolutely right about that. 7 million people are on the brink of starvation. Bernie Sanders, he tweets out every 10 minutes a child under the age of 5 dies of preventable causes in Yemen. Every 10 minutes. So, you know, how many minutes are there in a day? So in 1 hour, we're going to have 6 Yemeni die because of the American people, the American government, the American empire. $700 billion we got to make sure all those Yemenis die. The entire nation of people about to starve to death. But America doesn't give a fuck. America doesn't care about other people. The middle class care about themselves. The elite, the wealthy, the people in power, the people in charge, they care about themselves. They make sure they get the guns, and the guns are protecting their way, so that way, you know, they get police protection. But not everybody gets police protection. And they got lawyers anyway, so they could just use the lawyers and, you know, pay people and get the, you know, some kind of justice. But if you're poor, if you're in the hood, so 7 million people on the brink of starvation. Where the hell is Rachel Maddow on that? Where the hell are these liberals on that? And I'm a lefty. I just disagree with how they're being a bunch of bullying fucking dicks. Bullying and being a piece of shit to one another is what caused this shit. A blueberry peach pie is all you would have needed to save 17 lives. Show him some kindness. Show him some love. Show that he's belonging. And then actually, if you start to talk to him, you'd find out that he's got $1 million in a bank. And then you could use that $1 million to establish himself. He could have started a business. He could have had his own apartment. Instead, he's leaving with, you know, he got divorced from his brother, divorced from his parents, divorced from his biological and adoptive parents. They die on him. He's got nobody out in this world. You got people, that one woman, Roxanne, stole, you know, $3,000 from him. Is she going to get in trouble for that? Stealing $3,000? Stealing is acceptable too. Yeah, y'all care so much. Yeah, I'm sure. You're just full of heart. You're just full of... So, the historical context, the Deir el-Zor massacre. So, we killed a bunch of Russians. I heard 104 was substantiated. There's people said more than a couple dozens. So, February 7th, 2018, we killed 300 people in the Deir el-Zor massacre, including a bunch of Russians. Then the Tabia Jazeera Valentine's Day Massacre 2018, the same day that the Florida shooting happened. And you don't know about this either. Did Rachel Maddow forget to tell you that we're killing a bunch of Russians? Oh yeah, she's telling you that we're going to restart the Cold War now. Russia's the enemy. Who gives a shit if we kill a bunch of Russians, right? So the Tabia Jazeera Valentine's Day Massacre was where we killed 15 Russians in Tabia Jazeera in the Deir ez-Zor province in Syria. And the U.S. is responsible. So that's 15 Russians were killed. And that's less than 17. 39 total were killed. So 39 is bigger than 17. So we're killing Russians now. We're starting the Cold War. We're watching as an entire nation of Yemenis are about to die. And we are an empire. We have bases in Gabon and Cameroon, and there's a civil war in Cameroon right now. Y'all know that? We're getting involved in a nice civil war in Cameroon. I'm sure that won't bite us in the ass. I mean, have we ever gone into a country and then intervened militarily and it came to blow back on 9/11? I'm sure that's never happened. Okay, so... Mitch Decker, we don't know about Mitch Decker. Mitch Decker's the one that was leading the FBI, leading the charge. Mitch Decker, and then the FBI, you know, who is above Mitch Decker? So Mitch Decker's a piece of shit. Gary Nesner, you know, he seemed like he was okay, but Gary Nesner wasn't okay. There was one guy that was injured, and he said, well, if you want him to come out and get medical attention, then you're going to have to give us something. Wait a second, he needs medical attention. Let him come out. Let him come out. But no, Gary Nesner wanted to get something out of that deal. So even though he was the lesser of the evils, he was not a good guy. And then Stephen E. Higgins, who you don't even know about. You know David Koresh, but you don't know Stephen E. Higgins because you're educated with the American public education system and with the mainstream media. Stephen E. Higgins is the one that started that ATF raid into Waco that killed, who knows, probably dozens of people. We'll probably never know. So never before has so many heavily armed and totally committed individuals barricaded themselves in a fortified compound in a direct challenge to lawful federal warrants. So, I mean, the Civil War, I could think of some other things. So, let's see. Donald goes to Florida, gives a nice big thumbs up, right? Yay, South Florida. Remember that time in South Florida after that shooting when we all got together and then Donald was like, hey, I'm in South Florida. So, if you get rid of the guns, so only the incompetent government that failed on every single level, right? Those cops that wouldn't go into the building, that's who we're going to give all the guns to. The cops that killed 25 children at Waco, that's who we're going to give the guns to. The military that's watching 7 million Yemeni people die right in front of the entire world. You might not know what's going on, but I guarantee you that Europe, Russia, China, everybody in the Middle East knows exactly what the fucking deal is. So you may play coy, you may play stupid, but don't act like you give a shit about other people's lives. So the way that this thing goes down, they went literally just blindly shooting everybody in the house over a $50 warrant about a renewal of an arms thing. They were stockpiling arms. They said, oh, he's got a legal thing. He didn't renew one of the things. Shut the fuck up. That was their green light. So it didn't have to happen this way. Every day it was costing us $200,000 per. I mean, there's 600 federal agents. 600 federal agents, I bet it costs more than $200,000 a day. But 200,000 times 50 is what? A whole shit ton, right? So millions of dollars. The FBI at Waco wouldn't even let the fire department in to put out the fire. They wouldn't even let the fire department in. So they closed it all off. They put all this tear gas in. They didn't even have a way to put out the fire. They called the damn, even after you fucked up, call the fire department. But instead they just let the building just blaze on away. That's the part I remember. Just a fire and them, just burning. So that's what we do in this nation. We murder Christians. We murder Christian babies. We murder Christian women and men. We murder them. We just kill them all. Why? For being lawful, for being legal, for being a little bit different, to being a little bit weird. And if you think about Shays' rebellion, the whole reason we wrote the U.S. Constitution was to make sure that Daniel Shay, who was an American revolutionary, who was about to lose his land, so he started fighting back, right? The American Revolution, taxation without representation. He already fought one revolution. Daniel Shay was ready to fight another one because they were ready to take his land. But what did George Washington do? The same thing with the Whiskey Rebellion. We started this entire nation was started upon making sure the people have no power. Not black people, not Native Americans, not women. None of them had the right to vote. And the majority of white men didn't have the right to vote if you didn't own land. So 90% of this country weren't allowed to vote. Yeah, right. All about democracy. You don't believe in democracy. That's the problem. There is no democracy in this country. There is zero democracy. 65% of the people in Pueblo don't vote. Over 50% don't even vote in the presidential elections, let alone midterm. And then voting is the least you could do. True blue democracy is when we get together and then we say we're deciding what this city is going to be about. That's direct, pure democracy. So our representative democracy is dog shit. There's no pure democracy whatsoever. So the FBI killed those kids at Waco just like the Nazis did. They gassed them to death. They were in a vault and then they gassed them until they all were dead. And there's lots of other comparisons. I think of the Great Children's Massacre of Yahoo Falls in southern Kentucky, 1810. So you had the westward expansion, a bunch of Cherokee was running around in the hills of Kentucky. Well, the white man didn't want that, so they were killing all the Cherokee that they could find. The Cherokee were getting scared, so they were going to go down south to some Christian school, and they met at Yahoo Falls. While they were at Yahoo Falls, that's when the Big Tooth Hiram Gregory and John Sevier's men jumped them, killed 100 kids. Killed 100 kids. Talk about an ambush. That's an ambush. Let's all meet at Yahoo Falls. From Yahoo Falls, we're going to go to this great Christian place and we're going to be safe. But nope, nits make life. Nits make lice. That's what John Sevier said. Nits make life. Lice. Big Tooth Gregory, nits make lice. So with the massacre of Yahoo Falls, this is women, old men, children. This isn't the warriors. These are the, the innocents. The blood of the innocents. And we killed them all. We killed them all. Every single one of them. I think maybe one was alive that ran off that was in the woods. One of the few kids. Run. You all run. So that was worse. 100 people being killed. Waco was 76 people were being killed. 76 is greater than 17. 100 is greater than 17. The 1855 Know Nothing riots, the white supremacists went looking into the German Catholic churches looking for the guns. That could have turned out pretty bad. They go into churches by force, right? We heard you got guns in here. Where are the guns? Well, let's just burn this whole place down. That's the same mentality at Waco. Who are these weird Christian cultists? Who are these people collecting arms? Who are these people who collected a bunch of food and water? What are they preparing? What's going on over there? Who gives a shit? Let's kill them all. Just like Hiram Gregory and John Sevier did to the Cherokee children at Yahoo Falls in Kentucky in 1810. In 1774, that's how we won the revolution. We were a bunch of bullies. Hundreds of us, jumped on top of 3 British authorities. Drove them off. Fuck you, British authorities. You don't run us. We run ourselves around here. So, McLennan County, so it wasn't even in Waco, it was in McLennan. I bet David Thibodeau probably felt bad because he actually locked the kids and the women, or his wife, into the vault. And then they found some heating things, and then they put the gas directly into the vault. So actually, Thibodeau trapped the kids in the vault. They thought that the vault would protect them, but instead, the FBI put the CS gas straight into the vault. And there has been some contentions that it's a chemical. It's not mustard gas. It's not sarin gas. It's not like some of the, chlorine gas, but it killed them. So it was powerful enough to kill them. And there were several that had died by that. So straight up, Hitler, Nazi, just gassed the shit out of children. Killed babies, right? You care about children? No, you don't. Then fucking talk about Waco. You care about kids, then talk about Waco. You can't talk about Waco because that goes against your Second Amendment. That goes against your Second Amendment argument. Uh-oh. Well, you can't give a shit about children, right? Yeah, you care about kids, I'm so sure. You care about kids. You know what have protected the Jews or the Native Americans or the Cherokee children? Some weapons. And then people, want to laugh at anybody making that argument today. Look at Israel. They got the nuclear bomb. So you're telling me what? They didn't get a bunch of weapons and guns? You're damn right they would have had a better chance if they had more weapons. Of course they would have. But instead the Jews were given, what, spoons to fight with? So even if they had a spoon, fight with the spoon. But I guess once they caught you, right, with your pants down, they're like, go do this. And, you could fight and you'll probably die, or you could just submit and then wait until your death. And there's no incentive to give a shit. So, okay, get rid of all the guns. You're going to care about homeless now? You're going to stop this military machine? You're going to stop bombing Palestinians? You're going to save the 7 million people in Yemen that's on the brink of dying because of the United States government? You're going to start giving a shit about the homeless? You're going to care, right? Okay, yeah, I'm sure. You're going to make sure everybody's got universal single-payer health care? Bullshit. You don't give a fuck about our lives. The healthcare thing just shows me that the American government has never given a goddamn about our lives ever since it's been in existence. We have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We don't have a right to life, a right to food, water, clothing, shelter. No, we don't. Healthcare. No, we don't. We don't have a right to life. And healthcare is a human right. You're goddamn right it is. So, the Great Children Massacre of Yahoo Falls in southern Colorado, that was Kutsua, one who carries the sun. So, Kutsua, I hear ya, Chief Doublehead. She was the wife or the daughter. Redbird was also the son of Kutsua, she who carries the sun, Chief Redbird. There's a bunch of Redbird parks and Redbird rivers in southern Kentucky. Princess Corn Blossom, she was the main woman. There's also Fern, standing tall, Fern. So she's the daughter of Doublehead. Doublehead, they asked him what he thought about white people, and he said they're too salty because he was a cannibal. The tallest waterfall in Kentucky drops 113 feet. That's Yahoo Falls. The tallest waterfall is Yahoo Falls, and then that's where the massacre happened. And then the Wikipedia article says, well, it's just based on oral, accounts. It's totally consistent with history. An oral account is a piece of history. That is one report. That is one account of history. So you're going to sit there, well, I don't know if that's true, but you do know that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK for a fact, right? Like you were there. Yeah, you have no fucking skepticism when it comes to 9/11, but you're completely skeptical when 100 Cherokee, okay, if that didn't happen, where the fuck are the Cherokee at today? 100 million Native Americans were genocided. Of course that shit happened. Get the fuck out of here. And it was, at the Yahoo Falls, if you look at it, there's a waterfall. They're sitting ducks, shooting fish in a barrel. They're completely innocent. But John Sevier and the white man and Big Tooth Hiram Gregory, nits make lice. And I think that's an important comparison because that's the same shit that happened at Waco. These little babies, these little Christian David Koresh babies are going to grow up and they're going to be like, oh my God, what happened to, what you did to our father, right? You could have just taken Koresh and handled him. But then what happens to all those kids? What needed to happen, they needed to get counseling, they needed to be redistributed, someone needed to take care of them, some foster family. If they didn't, then we'd have to try to, educate themselves and try to get them up on their own feet. But wouldn't it just be easier to kill them all? Just kill them all. Then you don't have to worry about them actually, fulfilling David Koresh's prophecy. There actually is a couple of David Koresh's kids that are still alive today. There was 13 or so that had got out in the beginning, and then a few of them got out of the building when they're burning it down. When the FBI definitely burned it down, definitely sent in tear gas. Were there gunshots? Were guns being shot inside? Were guns being shot outside? And they said, it's not an invasion, it's not an assault. That's what they were saying over the loudspeakers as they were driving tanks into the building, and they killed people. When they took the tanks into the building, there are people there under the walls, and they're, underneath the rubble. So, we trapped 100 children before with the Cherokee people. Now we're doing it to the white Christians, too. And you're telling me what? If the Cherokee had some weapons, that wouldn't have helped them. If the Jews had some more weapons, they got nukes today. So apparently they said, yeah, we do need some damn weapons. Any kind of weapon would have helped the Jews. When the Nazis came around, any weapons. If they had a spoon, a handgun, a dart, a long stick with a pointed, end at the thing, a rock, assault rifles, a car, whatever, if you're being attacked. And we're at war right now, so hopefully Al-Qaeda doesn't, invade us and then we're just caught with our pants down. My guess is that middle-class America very much feels protected by society's guns, or they have no question, they don't question jack shit. It's only the poor black folks that get beat up and raped, only the poor whites. So if you're white, middle-class, suburban America, you just pretend, well, I always followed the law and the cops never bugged me. Yeah, I'm sure. If they had an opportunity, I'm sure they would. So this isn't just terrorism. This is scorched earth warfare. It's total warfare. War is worse than terrorism. War is terrorism times a million. And that's what the Big Tooth Hiram Gregory, John Sevier did to the children massacre of Yahoo Falls. Nits make lice, just like the Koresh kids. Those nits are eventually going to grow up and be lice. So let's just kill the kids. We also did it Thanksgiving Day. Every year we celebrate the massacre of the Pequot, the Mystic River Massacre. And what did the Pilgrims do at the Mystic River Massacre? Well, hell, they intentionally killed a whole bunch of Pequot while they were sleeping. Women, children, old people, not the warriors, because that's too scary, right? White people don't want to kill a bunch of warriors. They would rather go after the David Koreshes of the world, right? He's got a whole bunch of women and children. And then the Great Children's Massacre, no warriors were there, no men whatsoever. And then in the Pequot Massacre, the Mystic River Massacre, again, 700 women, children, and old men and women were killed. The warriors were away. 700 people dying is more than 17. So Waco was worse than the Florida shooting. The Mystic River Massacre was worse than all these shootings. The Las Vegas shooter killed 58. 700 is more than 58. 76 is more than 58. So Waco is worse than the Las Vegas mass shooting. The Florida shooting, 17. So in total body count and in number of children, the children were babies. So 25 babies were killed at Waco. 25 babies is more than 17 high schoolers. And then overall, that's just the children. Overall, 76 people were killed at Waco. 76 is more than 17. So in terms of baby and in overall deaths, more people were killed in Waco than in the Florida shooting. 9/11 killed 3,000 Americans. So the Florida shooting in Waco was less than 9/11, right? Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed hundreds of thousands, so Hiroshima and Nagasaki were worse than Waco. Well, bomb in Sudan took tens of thousands of lives, so these are worse than Waco. So, put it in perspective. Mass murder, you act like mass murder, there ain't people dying all over the place. 3,600 Americans died the first week of February of the common flu or pneumonia. That's just the brand new CDC numbers. 97 Bakassi fishermen were killed over oil fields off the coast of Cameroon. Oh, they're sitting on a bunch of oil. I wonder why we're in Cameroon. Yeah, I'm sure Donald's there to give them democracy, right? He's going to get, bullshit. He said he's there to steal fucking oil. He's there to steal oil, defend dictatorships, to fight against the democratic movements. 150 completely innocent black folks were killed in Rosewood, Florida. That was worse than Waco. Rosewood, Florida massacre was worse. The Tulsa race riot had helicopters bombing, but, yeah. Oklahoma City bombing, that was worse too. 168 people were killed. 98 federal employees and 19 children. So that's the historical analysis of Waco and the Florida shooting.